we've been waiting to announce this on social media, but we're going to be launching our new book. So can you tell us a bit of the inspiration or the catalyst for writing this book, Mette?
The topic for International Women's Day this year is embracing equity. And equity is a quite tricky concept to grasp. A lot of people confuse it with equality, and it's very, very different from equality. When we're talking about fairness, we think that equality is fair, but in fact, very often it's not. It's equity that is the more fair option between the two. Take, for instance, a typical situation at work. You've got a man and a woman, they're equally qualified. The man is more confident, and there is an opportunity for people to get promoted. Often we simply leave it at that because now the two people have the same opportunity, equality, to apply for the job. Why don't we make it more equity-based? That we provide the woman with that confidence that men much more naturally have. Provide her with the confidence so that she will all of a sudden be on the same level as the man. I work in learning and development, and I see so many companies offering the same training programs to everybody, and that's just not fairness, because we have different needs in order to be successful. And that is what equity is about, that it is fairness because we're giving people what they need. And this is a concept that's very fuzzy. We don't really grasp it. So yes, we need to write a book on it. And why not portray our amazing women, our female speakers who are inspirational, who are thought leaders on diversity and inclusion as well? Why not portray them with a book like this? Now, Maneesha, you are an author in this book. What made you say yes to writing a chapter?
To be honest, it kind of got me off guard, and I thought, could I really talk about equity? But as I started thinking more about it, and just with my personal journey, I realized I did see that there was a lack and something that needed to be talked about, and that was sex education. Here in Sri Lanka, and I think with a lot of countries as well, they don't talk about it. And I realized this would be something quite interesting to actually share in the book.
Now, I know you feel very strongly about this topic, Maneesha. What is it that needs to be done with this topic? What is it that we need to change in the world?
It's the stigma behind it, because I mean, even if I probably even say the word, some people might be like, ugh, I don't want to hear it. Can I please change the channel? But the reality is that we've all been created, and we have a sex drive. So it's very natural. It's very a part of who we are. And instead of us avoiding it, we need to actually embrace it and talk about it. And so that's definitely one thing that we need to do, is not only educate our kids and the next generation, but also educate adults as well, to say that, hey, this is something that is essential, because the reality is we are living in a hyper-sexualized society where it's everywhere. And you see it in the movies you watch, or the books you read, or even the songs you listen to. Sex is being advertised. And so we can't avoid it. I think in the past, that's what people did. I mean, personally, even for me, I learned sex from my friends, and I mean, the information they gave me was definitely not correct. So I think that it's important to firstly bring awareness to it, but also educate them so they can be actually empowered to make those healthy decisions when it comes to their sexuality and even in future relationships.
Absolutely. And what was that turning point that made you interested in this topic and starting to talk about it, writing about it?
About 10 years ago, I just came across this article. They were saying in the article, the title was Sri Lankan teenagers beat the French counterparts when it comes to losing their virginity. And the statistics said that while French teenagers are losing their virginity at 17 years, Sri Lankan teenagers are losing it at 14 and 15. And immediately when I saw that, I was like, wait, what's going on? It should be the other way around. Sri Lanka is still a developing country, while the French people are, they're well developed, they have access to everything. And I realized it clearly came down to one word, and that was curiosity, because we all have that curiosity when it comes to sexuality. And if it's not going to get answered, there are other ways to find your answers. And so that is why it's so important for us to give that knowledge as we know, knowledge is power. And so when we give that knowledge, we can actually empower our young people. I think that's why we need to have conversations like this, because it's not just in France, but in so many other countries as well. And I talk about it in the book, how even other countries where we would think would be, quite up there in their understanding and how they're also giving that sex education programs to the schools would be up to date. There's still flaws, and there's still definitely ways that we can improve on. One thing that I admire about you, Mette, is that you are a strong advocate when it comes to women, not only within the organization of KeyNote Women Speakers, but also outside. So my question would be to you is, how did it all start? What point of your life did you say, you know what, I want to be that person that empowers women?
I was in a corporate job until 10 years ago, and I wasn't as successful as I believe I could have been. I'm still a bit bitter about it, to be honest. And it wasn't because I was directly discriminated against. It was more a case of me being dismissed as top leadership material. It was because my husband was on a career track, and then automatically, as the wife, you're dismissed. When you're being dismissed, what happens is that you start also dismissing yourself. I started believing less in myself. I was much less motivated, so I wasn't doing a very good job at the end. It was very clear that I had to get out of it. And I started my own business that is focusing on leadership development. I saw that so many women would have been able to benefit from some of the hard lessons that I learned. And that's when I started to do Women in Leadership program.
Can you even tell us a little bit of the journey of how KeyNote Women Speakers came into being? Because I think a lot of people would be quite interested in that.
It was a combination of two things. First of all, I am a professional speaker, and I had been on stages where it was men only, or it wasn't men only because I was there too. Apart from me, it was very, very male. And I was also rejected a couple of times because my topic was too female, although half of the audience is female. And I thought that was wrong. Now, second, we were part of, at that point of time, a women's organization here in Singapore, where I'm based, Primetime. And they said, why not make a list of speakers in our organization? Because sometimes they got requests for speaking. So they thought, let's create that Excel sheet that we have to refer to speakers whenever somebody needs a female speaker. Now I thought, why keep that internally? Why not make it public? And that's how KeyNote Women Speakers Directory was born. Today, we're really a community of like-minded speakers, of inspirational female thought leaders, experts, who want to make the world a better place through speaking. And we're supporting each other on that journey of becoming ever better speakers.
We have just celebrated 5 years. End of last year, we turned 5. And what a cool way to celebrate our birthday by launching this new book that we're going to be doing. The title of the book is Redefining The Rules. Incredible women on how to embrace equity. And really my hope for this book, and firstly, just women are inspired that as they hear the stories from all these different authors, that they will realize, hey, you know what? I have a place. I have a voice, and I can go out there and do what I'm meant to be doing, what I'm passionate about. And I just really hope that they get inspired, and it actually pushes them in a good way into all that they're meant to be. What about you, Mette? What are you hoping from this book?
What you're saying sounds beautiful, and I'm sure we're already doing it. We were pushing some of the women to say, hey, you can write a book, you have a story to tell. And already that process was very fulfilling. For some people, it was an emotional process to write a story down for the first time. And it shows, especially when you're reading the stories, they're so inspirational. It's great if we can inspire other women also to amplify their voices, sharing their stories. And above all, creating a great understanding of what is equity and how equity is essential for our world today.